Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and we're about to play around a 40-minute session on Unibet 25NL. This video is not intended to be educational. It might not even be entertaining, who knows? But what it will do is help me get the address out there for the private club I'm involved with. Beneath the video, there's a Telegram address and there is a Facebook link of various Facebook links. If you want to play in some private games that are softer than anything you find on mainstream sites, then reach out to us via one of those links and we'll set you up. Right, without further ado, let's just play some cards. Folding the 8CM multi-way. I already know that I could have spelled Orville correctly. Didn't realise I'd misclicked and double done the O, which meant we couldn't put E on the end. It's really, really upset me, but I can't change it now, and it hurts. I'm also aware that Peggy Mitchell is short of an L, but there wasn't enough characters. I need to get better at not letting such trivial things irritate me, which is why I've gone with them. In days gone by, I would have been like, buggered that name up. Can't play today. Genuinely, that's how odd I am. And I've been like, I can't play today now because I buggered the name up. But I'm a big boy these days, and stuff like that, whilst it still annoys me, I can power through it. Right, so we've minnow on the A7 here. I think we'll start off with the bet. Never quite sure how to play these like middle strength top pairs multi-way. So we'll bet and find out where we're at, shall we? And then when they fold, you find out you were ahead and you don't make any more chips. It's Odd a Day. I've seen him a few times now. He doesn't bother changing his screen name. It always boggles my mind that players play on a site where they can play on like multiple different screen names at the same time. And they can change 3 of them daily, and they continue to just use the same screen names. It's fucking mad to me. Don't understand it in the slightest. But it's not my job to understand it. 5-7 deuce rainbow with the king and the jack. We might do something naughty here versus smaller bets. And we are going to turn a king. Guess we're going to barrel. And we take it down. Yeah, I've been not working on is the wrong words, because I haven't been looking at solvers and sims and crap like that, or GTO Wizard. Just finding more, frankly, spew on tryish boards where like there's no like really apparent obvious bluffs, like equity driven bluffs. I mean, on that board there, I guess we could have had some straight draws, etc. And I've started by using like just 2 overs on dryish boards, which could be theoretically absolutely shite. I don't know. I don't study very much anymore. Most of my poker study, or whatever you want to call it, really, like poker consumption, just comes from free YouTube content. mean, I just don't bother looking at GTO Wizard. I just massively avoid anyone who's fucking really nerdy and really geeky running sims on YouTube because it's not 2021 anymore and I don't want to fucking watch that shit. And so this guy has limp called and is leading out big on this flop. Don't like it, but obviously we can't fold our hand yet. Interesting to see what sizing he goes with here. If he bets, I mean, this is quite remarkable. Just not a chance for calling here. Not an earthly chance. No idea what is going on. No idea what he's thinking. And don't really care, to be honest with you. If he continues doing stuff like that, then we'll start to care. But I'm not going to care and get curious on the first instance. Here we've been small 3-bet. I would have folded, but then we get a fishy looking cold call out of the big blind. So we are going to try and flop the world. We do not. Yeah, this time very similar board to last time when your man's checking. Seems like a reasonable spot to have a little bet with our ace of spades. And this time we just check folds on a similar structure, on a very similar texture. Read into that what you will. Picking up the pocket jacks. I mean, again, absolutely no clue what this mini 3-bet means, but we're going to 4-bet and hope not to get piled on. Just want to see call here. Didn't particularly want to see the ace-high board. And a bet anyway, of course, in position 4-bet pot, ace-high dry. Unless we hit a jack, this might be the last chips we put in this pot. We win anyway, which is just fine by me. Folding the 6-4 suited from the big blind in a multi-way pot. King deuce suited. Take a flop. Checking turn. I would probe with other hands here. I'm not going to probe when I've got top pair, but there's going to be quite a lot of king X in your man's checking back range. Once he checks back twice, we're just going to value bet now. We get snapped off by a jack. It's a pretty miserable flop with 2 10s multi-way. Well, not miserable. You do have a good shot, but we're going to be checking. Not stabbing the king 10 on the flop. We'll do some delay betting with it if we pick up equity, which we do. And facing this large term probe on the top left table. We're out of there. Ace-6 suited. I'm going to have a little 3-bet. Going to go with a check raise with the King-6. We're going to 4-bet the Ace-King. Just out here doing our nitty shit with our shitty nit spew and hoping to get away with it. That's what I've been doing for 20 years now. Out there knitting around, doing the occasional bit of nit spew and just winging it, basically. I mean, I'm being a little bit unkind to myself, a little bit self-deprecating. I do think I have a pretty good feel overall for the micro stakes, as I should, because I've been fucking playing them for 18 years now as a, for want of a better way of putting it, for-profit player. So I damn well should have a good understanding of it. And like how, like, the vast majority of the reg pool approaches the game. 6 is here on the button. We should call. Of course, styles and bet sizes and things change a little bit, but at the very core of most micro stakes regs, regardless of like the little tips and tricks they pick up from machines and content creators, etc., at their very core, they are essentially always have been and always will be not aggressive enough with weak holdings and far, far, far too value orientated in every single thing they do. If you're a micro stakes reg and you think you're different, you're not. Or you're almost like, if 100 people watch this and think they're different and they're regs, 95% of them will just be deluding themselves. I thought we were out of position then. I was about to rip the jacks, but we're in position, so I'm going to call. And we're going to raise this flop if you bet small or half pot. Going to bet small now. Just like start applying a little bit of pressure to his two broadways. Maybe he spews. Maybe he's trapping and just stacks me. Who knows? But this time he wasn't, and he didn't. I'm going to 3-bet the Jack 10 suited. Yeah, so my overall approach to all micro stakes poker, like, and by that I mean up to 25 vanilla on mainstream sites, and the biggest I play in the private club is 50 NL. Excuse me, is just to assume that, I mean, fish are just fish. You have to work them out. There's nothing else you can do about that. You've got to just fuck around in the moment with fish and just try and figure out what the fuck it is they are doing. and quickly. But against like regulars or people who would consider themselves to be regulars, I just genuinely work on the default assumption that they're going to overinvest with value hands and underinvest with bluffs, and then just go from there. Been probed into here. We're folding. Going to bet around half pot with this ace jack. And then if I find a reg that is not following those general principles, that's when I'll start adjusting. But it takes quite a lot for me to adjust to a lot of regs, because I think most of them are quite face up and just as shit as I am. So I don't bother making too many adjustments. We've been 3-bet here. We have 2 9s. We're going to call in position. We're going to flop a set, which is nice. We're going to try and flop another set up here. He comes with a small bet. I don't know if this is correct on this board texture. Couldn't tell you, to be honest. Going to call 1C with the 5s in position, see what happens on the turn. He now bets really big. This is going to be like hugely underbluffed. There are some obvious natural bluffs, but generally speaking, it's going to be massively underbluffed. Here, this guy comes with a big bet. We're just going to call, and that's not fold rivers. If he's got there with a flush, good for him. He just gets paid. He did get there with a flush, never mind. I mean, we probably can just like when they size up the turn, you know they're going to have like aces, kings, queens, and draws there. They're probably committing. So maybe when you know they've committed themselves, you don't have to slow play. You can just fucking pile the money in. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't have made any difference with that draw. He would have called and we still would have lost the pot. I just wonder maybe we should just shove the turn. But and to say shove the turn, I don't want anyone to sit there thinking, oh, Reg is thinking he should have shoved the turn to maybe make you fold that hand. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's just, do we need to like have traps when someone's obviously committed, when we can just get the value now? Because maybe sometimes they just shut down with their misbluffs on the river and then we don't capture that value. Again, with the 9s, we're going to peel once in position. See what happens on the turn. So he is slightly downsizing here. Actually got a raise. And then if he calls, probably shove brick rivers. That is not a brick river, sadly. And maybe this is just like a pure bluff spot after we raise the turn. I think in the micro stakes, if you raise turns and then bluff rivers, you are just literally torching money. And we still win here against some flush draws. Very rarely, but whatever. Oh, just a set of aces. Nice. Nice hand, sir. You had me beat. I'm surprised when he like bet but downsized the turn, like went half pot with top set on a double flush draw wet board. That wouldn't be what I typically expect to see people do with that hand class in that spot. So again, sample size of 1, we can't really read much into it. but it does tell me that he's probably not some like paint by numbers shitreg. He might be shit in many, many other ways. Or she, given that it's Christine. Three betting the queens. Three betting the ace king. The king, sorry. Please don't die, tables. Please don't die. Just going to bet 2 over. I mean, we have draws we can go to before betting this, but just going to bet my 2 overs anyway. Get check raised to a small size. I'm not convinced. You're not convinced me yet, Christine. And then you check. So we're going to bet small again. Will they go for the double check raise, or will they call and leave the door open for us to bluff the fuck out of the river? They do. And we are going to try and bluff the fuck out of the river. Just trying to make like 9-10 fold, 9-7, whatever. This could work out terribly, but we're doing it anyway. We're representing strength all through the hand. So from his perspective, we do look very strong here, or her perspective, we do look very strong. And we take it down. Little bit of nit spew. With the kings, multi-way, I'm going to start with the check. If this guy doesn't probe the turn, we're just going to go with like the 70% pot bet. I'm going to fold the river to Christine if the third barrel comes. Checking back. The king here, folding here, paying 70% here. Club on the river's unideal. I think it's too thin to use a biggish size. They could still have some 7x. Just decided just to be really trapping. They can have some flushes. Here we're trying to get called by like a 6 or an 8 or something like that. If we get raised, we're just so out of there. Don't know why I didn't see, but this flop, lack of concentration. Blah, 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 bad board for our range, etc., etc. Don't really give a fuck about any of that. When I did give a fuck about that, I feel that was like an era of poker where I had never been worse. Now I just don't give a fuck about any of. Oh, it's a better board for them than it is us. Blah 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 blah. They might do something because they have range advantage or nut advantage. Nope, it's all bollocks. The vast majority of people pretend to give a fuck about stuff like that, but then don't do anywhere near enough about it. They just fucking don't. They talk about it in forums and Discord communities, etc. Oh, you have a range advantage, you have a nut advantage, you should bluff. Then when you look at the frequencies of shitregs over a huge sample in your database, you realise that shit just isn't fucking happening. Never has happened, and it probably never will. And again, you might be the exception to the rule, but you're probably not. Should have 2.5 that from the cut-off point. Never mind, it's barely going to make a difference. Reasonable chance we triple off here with the ace king, given he snap called the flop. No need to triple off. We take it down with the turn barrel. Christine limps and leads. Just going to let the threes go now. Christine's playing more than one table, but is very obviously a fish. Playing 3 tables, in fact. And to be fair, Christine, if you ever get around to watching this, I would recommend you play fewer tables. And that number of tables would be 0, because you seem to be quite shit. And these players don't know me. So you can't give it the usual excuse of, oh, they've got stats on me. They know I'm a nit, so they're folding to all my 3 bets. But I think I've had 1 3-bet so far right at the start of the video with ace jack off that didn't just take it down pre-flop. 5-6 suited here versus someone who's not fully stacked. We're going to hit the 3-bet button, try and isolate them. I think there is a shift in the mainstream side. This is not apparent on the fucking club games I play in, by the way. No fucker ever falls to 3-bets in those games. Doesn't matter. Last night I made a 3-bet and the same player called me with Queen 4 suited in a spot where I 4x 3-bet. They were out of position. And then later, same spot, they called me with ace 5 offsuit. So in private world, in live games in your casinos, it's not happening. But in these Euro sites, I think there's a bit of a shift towards Shitregs, myself included, just knowing that they don't do particularly well in the defensive lines. So they just get out of there early more often. That's the sense that I'm getting. That's this time. We'll go with a light 3-bet with a 6-7 and we get shoved on. So everyone's folding into all our 3-bets. We go with the light 3-bet and Christine. I mean, this is just going to be ace king nearly always when they do that. Ace king, pocket jacks. Basically, good hands that don't want to play flops because, you know, they're not good enough to play them spots out of position. And I have quite often think that's fine. You know, I don't mind just having a 4-bet rip range with like good but not nutted hands in pre-flop spots in the micro stakes, because people like me are out there on the button occasionally 3-betting the 7-6, 3-betting the 8s, 9s, 10s, etc. And a lot of the time, I think in the real world, just ripping pre-flop with like ace king, ace queen suited, queens, jacks, etc. probably generates as much EV as whatever batshit lines the solvers want to take. Something I've actually started doing, just sort of out of position versus 3-bets, just like pretty much just ripping most things, and then non-all in with aces and whatever occasional bit of nit spew that I can generate. And I think that's as good as anything, to be honest with you, that a shitty micro stakes reg can come up with. This fucking never stops betting. 8's no diamond. I mean, I've got the Jesus seat on Christine in 3 tables. If I didn't have to leave the house in 15 minutes, I'd glue my ass to the seat, because I can already tell that Christine is going to have many, 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 many blunders in him or her. Many. And all you need to do is just sit there and wait for them to come. But sadly, I do not have the time for that this morning, which is a shame. So we can see this small 3-bet here. 5s isn't a full frequency open, so I'm going to defend it and flop a full house. We like that. Snap check back. Tell me you've got Jackson ace king without telling me you've got Jackson ace king. Snap call. So I just think they're like insanely weak here, but I expect them to just take their showdown value, so I'm just going to bet again. Kings. Wow, just kings. Even just kings. I suppose it's a similar hand strength on the queen, queen X. When I bet twice. See how quickly they did everything? Zero consideration. I mean, fair enough. I think their line is... I mean, maybe they're supposed to bet the flop. I don't fucking know, and I don't care. I think versus population, their line is completely fine, by the way. Just interesting how quickly they did it. Gonna 70% this river. Maybe could have 70% the turn too. Get raised. That's never a bluff. See you later. Not even have to think about that. And when I say never, of course, it might be sometimes. But I mean never in a general sense of never a bluff enough of the time to justify bluff catching 1 pair. Never is not accurate, but it's good enough as a catch-all. And I do enjoy a good disrespectful snapfold. I should have c-bet this flop. Again, lack of concentration. Problem now when raising the turn is that no one ever raises this turn as a bluff. But versus this size, I would just have to. If he'd gone bigger, I might have called. And we raise a turn, he calls. Actually going to go with the overbet here and represent, or try and represent bluffs around diamonds, etc. We do get caught by 2 pairs. And that makes an old man very happy. Right, quick vape and look at the time. Time I wasn't here. I'll lead this turn for 40%. Snap folds. Sadly. Dude just checks back top pair 3 straights. This is in theory, it's an overbet board. See how confidently I said that when I could just be fucking wrong. I could just be wrong, and I said it with a degree of confidence that was completely unwarranted. You might well not have been one. I think typically, like, double Broadway boards are overbet with quite a high frequency. Whether that exact board will be one of them, I don't fucking know. This guy loves to check back, so we're going to overfold when he does c-bet. You don't get paid all the day till you show me that you're capable of being naughty. I think he's like a fake lag type. He seems to be like quite active pre-flop and then really nitty post-flop. We've lost Christine. Which normally would disappoint me, but given I'm going, I don't give a fuck. Calling the 6-7. Flopping a pair. Could get dicey. Not just a pair, but lots of backdoors. Turning 2 pairs, we're going to check shove. Are we going to hold? Oh, we're going to make a boat. Beautiful. If Duesenberg is watching, once again, proving the power of the 7-6 suited. My favourite hand in all of poker, apart from aces and kings and some other stuff. And that seems like a good time to call it the video. End it on a high. Play around to our blinds. And then we will be out of here. Already set the timer running. I'm not even fucking sat out any tables yet, but the timer is off and running. Giving up with the king 10 on the repeat jack. If he's got pocket 6s or pocket 8s or something, then good for him. So I think one more hand this table, and then we are done. Yep, we are done. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please do give the video a like if you've got this far. Think about leaving a comment. And if you are interested in playing games that are much softer than these, and you're primarily a recreational low-volume player, I genuinely cannot recommend enough coming and joining the private games I'm in. You'll find them a lot more fun. They're going to be a lot softer than whatever mainstream site game you're playing. And I'll also get some brownie points with the owners of the club for recruiting players. So please consider doing that. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody, and goodbye for now.